Awesome. All right. Excited to get started today. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining, and keep them coming in the chat. Excited to hear where folks are joining us from and some public space inspiration. I'm going to get started today. So really excited to have you all here. Thanks so much for taking the time in the middle of the day on a Wednesday. And we're excited to share a little bit more about our recent call for design teams. So welcome again, everyone. Thanks so much for your interest in today's information session. My name is Martha Snow, and I'm the Director of Community Design at the Urban Design Forum, and looking forward to sharing more today about our recent call for design teams and our new initiative, the Local Center. So what we're up to today, I'm going to start off by sharing a few slides with information about the call and a little bit of information about our program as a whole. We'll then open it up for folks to share questions in the chat. So we'll welcome you to share questions in the meeting chat, and I may call on folks to further describe on over audio if needed, but we'll start with the chat for now, and then we'll dive in. Feel free to let us know if you have questions in the chat, but otherwise, let's get started. All right, so really excited to be sharing more about our work with the Local Center today. Before I dive in, I want to talk a little bit about who we are. So for folks who may not know us, Urban Design Forum is a membership organization of over 750 professionals in the fields of planning, engineering, advocacy, design, and more. And through our programs, we mobilize designers and policymakers to confront the defining issues in the built environment. So we're excited to have lots of folks who are members on the call today, and maybe some new folks as well. We're really excited to also be partnering with the Association for Neighborhood and Housing Development on this initiative. ANHD builds community power to win affordable housing and thriving, equitable neighborhoods for all New Yorkers. So we're excited to bring our two organizations together to support new collaborations between designers and community development leaders to realize community-driven visions for public spaces in New York. So where is this work coming from? First of all, we really believe that every New York City neighborhood should have the power and resources to shape its own future. And that we think to get there, the Local Center can support this work by connecting neighborhoods, leaders, designers, and government agencies to transform public space across New York City. With generous support from the Mellon Foundation, we're really excited to begin this work with 5 neighborhood-based partners to realize their vision for culture in public space specifically. And we really see the value of culture and heritage in public space because coming together in our streets, our parks, our plazas, to share traditions and to tell stories is really an essential piece of building resilient communities. So we're excited to support our neighborhood partners through festivals, markets, and installations, and help them to reclaim public spaces that reflect the unique character of their neighborhoods. So I want to share a little bit about how we work. So we have already invited neighborhood organizations to share their visions for public space. We're excited to have selected 5 neighborhood organizations. So those are our neighborhood partners. We will partner with them to provide funds, technical assistance, and capacity building to support their visions coming to life. We'll be building teams of designers, engineers, lawyers, and other collaborators to support our partners with community engagement, visioning, and activation. Those are our project teams and what we'll be talking about in more depth today. In addition, as part of our program model, we'll help to connect our teams and our partners to city agencies to support this work. And then around the edges, the Urban Design Forum and the Association for Neighborhood and Housing Development really see ourselves as facilitators and as connectors to support capacity building, cross-project learning, and longer-term advocacy and planning for these projects. So we'll support you all meeting as a cohort and really thinking together about how to build a more just and beautiful city. So why join the Local Center? A great question. So first, I think one of the really exciting pieces of this work is the opportunity for local engagement. So these projects are really on the ground with neighborhood-based partners, and our design teams and interdisciplinary collaborators really have the opportunity to create meaningful relationships with neighborhood leaders and to gain experience in community-led public space projects in New York City. So these are a really wonderful way to build relationships, to put your skills to work, and to support locally driven visions for public space. Another really important piece of this work is our learning community. So by joining the local center and participating in one of these projects, you'll also be joining a community and a cohort that will bring together to workshop ideas, share lessons learned, and deepen your experience in public realm design. So this will look like bi-monthly sessions where we can exchange ideas, learn from inspiring examples, solve problems as a group, and really advance the practice of community-led design together. The next reason why you should join is firm visibility. So we'll do all we can to create lots of ways to celebrate your collaborations and tell the story of your projects along the way. So this will mean through marquee events, through media coverage, through award submissions, and social media amplification. We really want to celebrate all the work you're doing and help tell the story of the new collaborations that will be happening through this project. And then finally, project compensation. So each neighborhood partner can provide $40,000 to support project honoraria for their technical assistance team to offset staff time related to their project. So on the flip side, what we're asking from firms who are interested in joining this initiative are really these three things. First is we're asking folks to really share a commitment to community-driven practice. So this is really one of our core values of this program, that we are working in solidarity with our partners in neighborhoods that have been historically underinvested and excluded from the design and planning processes. And this really means, in some ways, unlearning some of the things we might have been taught in design school, and really getting out there in a hands-on effort and a commitment to both learning and unlearning together in service of working in true partnership with our neighborhood partners. We're also asking for our firms to have committed project staff, so a designated project lead as a main point person for each team, and also active participation in the learning community. So we see this as a really essential piece of this work, and hope you all will join us in the learning community sessions to both share your work, but also to learn from others. So who might we be able to work with as part of this program? So really excited to share just a little bit about our 5 neighborhood partners. There's more information in the full design RFQ about these projects, but I do just want to highlight the 5 awesome neighborhood partners we're able to work with. So first up is Chaya CDC. Chaya envisions activating public space in Richmond Hill, Queens to celebrate the Indo-Caribbean and Punjabi communities of the area through a street fair and envisioning the future of the space. So very excited to be working with Chaya. Grow House will develop creative activations around the Flatbush African Burial Ground and support a community engagement process to establish a long-term vision for that space in Flatbush. Staten Island Urban Center will activate Tompkinsville Park as a community asset and are considering a food and spice market that brings visibility to the Afro-Caribbean, Black, and Latinx communities of Staten Island. Queens Community Justice Center is interested in undertaking projects to celebrate the resilience of Far Rockaway and create safe public spaces for people to be together in community. And finally, Youth Ministries for Peace and Justice is activating the future site of the Soundview Economic Hub, which is currently a vacant space underneath the Bruckner Expressway, with temporary art installations that honor the history and self-determination of the Bronx. So 5 really amazing partners, and definitely take a look at the full project descriptions in the RFQ, but just wanted to share them because they're really, really wonderful folks. All right, so how you can get involved. So there are 2 key ways that we see folks getting involved in this. We recognize that these public space projects take a range of disciplines, perspectives, and skills. So we're really excited on the one hand, to be hearing from design teams who are interested in supporting each of our neighborhood partners, but we're also welcoming interest from a wide range of disciplines who are interested in contributing to these projects. So first up, I'll talk a little bit about our design teams. So for design teams, the way you can get involved is by submitting an RFQ. So we're asking for lead design teams to support partners in these 4 key areas: community engagement, programming and schematic design, activation, fabrication and installation, and project documentation and communication. And again, more details on this in the RFQ, so feel free to see the details there. For design teams, we're asking folks to electronically submit in a single PDF some key information about your proposed team. So that includes identifying your team and which projects you'd be interested in contributing to, noting that you can be interested in contributing to several projects, and you can just note that in your materials. A little bit about your qualifications, so the individuals and that would be involved in this work and their experience. We have a couple questions about your approach. So how would you approach a community-led design process in the public realm, and why you're interested in contributing to this initiative? We're also asking for some details about your project experience and some optional additional information of references and things like CVs or press information. Just a little bit about eligibility. So we're really excited to be welcoming mission-driven architecture, landscape architecture, and urban design firms to participate in this effort. We do ask that firms maintain an office or residency within New York City to participate. This work is really hands-on. You'll be going to site visits, you'll be meeting folks in person, you'll be doing engaged work on the ground. And we really ask that folks are prepared to be here and to be in person with our partners. We're welcoming folks to submit as teams or individually as firms, but can also submit as partnerships or joint ventures. And we're strongly encouraging submissions from minority and women-owned business enterprises, worker cooperatives, and emerging and BIPOC-led firms. And we're also welcoming submissions from respondents who either reside at work or have led projects in any of these project neighborhoods. So really do want to note that as key to this work. Just a little bit about our selection process. So submissions to the RFQ will be reviewed by a review panel for eligibility and general alignment with our program. Eligible submissions will be ranked by our neighborhood partners. So our partners are going to be playing a real strong role in determining their teams. And then top ranked teams will be invited to interview with partners on May 23rd, and selections will be made from there. I want to share some key dates and happy to answer questions about these as well. The submission deadline for the RFQ is Wednesday, May 3rd at 11:59 p.m. As I mentioned, we're holding partner and design team interviews on May 23rd. So we do ask that interested firms hold that date for now in case you are invited to interview. Design teams will be notified if you were selected by neighborhood partners to join this effort in late May. And then we'll begin this effort in earnest on June 23rd with our orientation. We'll have project activities, and I'll share a little bit more about this in just one moment. We'll have project activities through October of next year, concluding in a program summit. And through the end of next year, we'll be engaging in evaluation and future planning for the program. So I do just want to give a little bit more color to what this 18-month timeline can look like. So this really will depend on your project partner, the exact cadence and trajectory of their project. But in general, we see these projects kicking off with some really wonderful site visits and engaged work on the ground this summer. Those things could look like, community engagement, planning, design with your partner, maybe schematic design. And then moving into next year, teams will really be supporting partners in looking towards activating their sites next spring, summer, and fall. So depending on the project, that could look like constructing temporary activations, supporting with programming, and then into the fall, our teams will be supporting our partners in thinking about how to advocate for their projects in the longer term. So whether that's developing vision plans or documents to help them advocate for their work. You'll see along the way that the learning community is noted in purple, and this is really a important and ongoing part of this program. We'll be engaging in site visits. We'll be having learning exchanges in person. Maybe we'll go see some inspirational sites together to learn from. So there's really a lot there as well, and opportunities for you all to learn together and from each other. I do want to note too, so all of that was really focused on our RFQ for design teams. So the other way that we're excited to get folks involved is what we're calling our call for interdisciplinary collaborators. So we really recognize that public space projects are truly interdisciplinary in nature and want to be welcoming folks who may not be a design team, but who think they could bring some skills or knowledge to these projects to share your interest. So if you're, a historian, anthropologist, graphic designer, lighting expert, legal expert, interested in joining one of these multidisciplinary technical assistance teams, let us know. And the way to do that is by submitting a Google form, which is linked on our website. This includes some simple questions like what project you'd be interested in contributing to, why you're interested in contributing, what skills you'd like to offer, and your experience. And these collaborators may be eligible for project stipends at the discretion of our partners. And that Google form is also due on May 3rd. So May 3rd is the date for everyone. So really appreciating all of your attention. I know I threw a lot at you, and I'm looking forward to answering some of your questions. So I'm going to stop sharing right now, and I'll ask folks to share your questions in the meeting chat. So I'll give folks a chance to start doing that now. And if folks have questions that they think are best explained in person, feel free to raise your hand and we can do that as well. All right, we'll give it a second as folks are thinking and pondering here. Thanks, Ellen. I'm seeing your question. Will the partner and design team interviews be in person? So those will be virtual. So we've asked partners and we'll ask design teams to hold from 12 to 6 p.m. on the 23rd, and those will be over Zoom. So no need to consider travel in that. I'm seeing Tanya's question. Thank you for that. Tanya's asking if we can clarify that it is one project team per project. Yes, it'll be one project team per project. If you are interested in multiple projects, you are welcome to share your interest in multiple projects, and partners will have the opportunity to look at your materials across the board. All right, we've got a few more coming in, so forgive me as I take a moment to read here. All right, I'm seeing Valerie's question. Can you elaborate on how to explain one's approach? What is meant by that? Sure. So I think what we're looking for here is really to give our neighborhood partners a sense of how you might come into a community engaged design process. So thinking about the kind of stages of what that might look like, community engagement in particular, working with a neighborhood partner, how you might approach that work, what kind of steps you might take, kind of really your attitude for that work in particular. I think we're really looking just to give our partners a sense of what it might be like to work with you. All right. Christiana is asking, are we limited to the 15 pages? Yes, we're asking folks to use 15 pages as the maximum. Awesome. I see Dan doing some replying in the chat as well. Thank you. Thanks. So I'm seeing 3x3 is asking if we'd be interested in an organization providing specific expertise across projects and not submitting a team for a specific project. So thanks 3x3. I think this is helping to clarify some as well, that when we're asking folks to submit materials, you don't need to submit for a specific project. You're submitting to join the local center and then sharing interest in what projects you might be interested in supporting. So I think the way to do that, I'm seeing Priyanka, thanks, is would be to submit your materials, and if you're interested in supporting across projects, you can submit. You can indicate that you'd be interested in supporting all the projects. And then we can assess the materials with that in mind. All right, BBB is asking, how can we get more information about the design scope for each project? Yeah, so you can definitely take a look at the project descriptions in the RFQ. I will say these projects are still in development with our partners, and we really see the design teams as being key collaborators in helping our partners to more closely define the scope of what they're able to do in this timeline and with the budget allocated. So we really do see the design teams as partners in that work. So the current information in the RFQ is the status of the projects right now, but really excited to bring folks like you on to work with our neighborhood partners in defining a scope that feels exciting and reasonable given the time constraints and given the budget for these projects. All right, see more questions coming in. Thank you. Give me 1 second to field here. Okay, Ahmed is asking, aside from design team honoraria, is there a budget allocated for implementation of designs, or is there a fundraising framework that teams will be involved in and the design teams will need to inform? Thanks for that, Ahmed. So the short answer is yes, there is an implementation budget allocated. So our partners are going to be given a budget in basically 3 parts. So the first part is a partner capacity grant, which is basically supporting the capacity of our neighborhood partners to be engaging in this work, recognizing that there is definitely some significant project management work on the side of our neighborhood partner. We want to ensure that they are supported to be able to do that work. The second is the design firm honorarium, as we've mentioned, and then the third is the implementation budget. So that can include things like materials for activation, and all the other things that might be included in an implementation budget. All right. Let's see. Yeah, Mark, so I'm seeing Mark's question. My understanding is that the technical design team is only made up of primary architectural, landscape, and urban planners, but that other consultants are assigned by the sponsors based on each particular project. So I think in general, that's the case. What we're really looking for in this RFQ is a core design team that can support our partners with the key elements of community engagement, programming and schematic design, public space activation and documentation, recognizing that we'll support to bring folks in to supplement as expertise is needed. So we'll be happy to support you there. All right, I'm seeing a question from Ifoma. Can designers join different teams on different submissions? That is a great question. I would love to be able to take that back to our team, Ifoma, just to confirm. But we'll also be publishing an FAQs page shortly after this with all the questions that are coming through today with some more detailed written answers. So happy to share that back. Thanks, Ifoma. Megan is asking, how large should project teams be? So I think that is up to you. We're really asking for folks to put together a team that they think can really reasonably and responsibly do the kind of 4 key elements we've talked about. And we will ask for a project lead from each team who can be the kind of core point of contact from our side. But otherwise, I would say use your discretion at what you think is a reasonable size for this team. All right, more questions coming in. Thanks, folks, for all of these. And I see Dan is responding to some in the chat as well. Yeah, Julie's asking if graphic designers can be included in the project team instead of submitting separately. I think that's totally fine. If you all have a team in mind and are interested in submitting, that's totally great. right, I'm reading through some more. Thanks, folks, for your patience. All right, so Ryan is asking, would we match interested individual multidisciplinary professionals with design and project teams if they're a qualified fit? Ryan, could you share a little bit more about the question if you're still here with us? And if you're able to unmute. All right, I'm not sure if Ryan is here with us. All right, well, I'm happy to kind of answer based on my best understanding of the question here, but we'll also follow up more over through our FAQs page if we have a chance to clarify with Ryan. But in general, we are asking folks as much as possible to form teams in advance of submitting, that we are we're able to be kind of supplementing once we've had the lead design team chosen, but that, as much as you have connections with folks that you might want to work with and are able to assemble a team in advance and want to submit as a team, we're definitely encouraging you to do that. All right, taking a look at some more questions. Okay, I'm seeing if someone is interested in applying as an interdisciplinary collaborator, can they team up with 1 to 2 more people and apply as a group, or does it have to be an independent application? I think we're open to both. So you don't need to be an independent application for interdisciplinary collaborators. Would welcome if you have a group of folks that you're interested in applying to that is totally fine. All right. I'm seeing what is the budget amount for design implementation. So our neighborhood partners will be finalizing this, but we have an initial budget of $50,000 for implementation and programming of the temporary activations, and we're also looking forward to supporting each team in fundraising as necessary if their budget exceeds that. So hopefully that helped answer your question. I think that was, I lost who that was from, but hopefully that was helpful. All right. Let's see. I've got some more questions coming in. Can video submissions be included? Jason is asking if video submissions can be included in the PDF submission. If example projects necessitate video, is best to describe. I think we can follow up over via the FAQ on this as well, Jason. I think my initial instinct is we'll be passing these off to partners who have limited review time. So if it is a video, I would keep it under 5 minutes if possible, just to be conscious of their time. So that is my initial, but welcome folks to check out the FAQ as well. All right, got some more questions coming in. So Corinne is asking if applicants submit for the design team lead, does that also put that applicant under consideration for interdisciplinary collaborators, or should applicants put their name in for both? So Corinne, my thought here is if you are proposing as an interdisciplinary collaborator any skills that would be distinct from what you're proposing as a design team, then I would also submit through the interdisciplinary collaborator portal, just so that we can understand kind of the breadth of skills that you'd want to bring to the table. But if you think you see them as aligned, then I think totally fine to just submit for the RFQ, and we'll consider you for both. All right. Yeah, so Evan is asking how much weight will be given towards established offices with internal teams allocated versus looser defined design offices that may be more interdisciplinary in nature. So I think I would say to this, Evan, that really, you know, we're giving a lot of the decision-making power over to our neighborhood partners here and who they're interested to be working with. So I wouldn't say that we are weighting either of those in particular, but really it's more about who the right fit is based on who our neighborhood partners are looking for. All right, see some, I'm getting through the backlog here, so thanks folks. Hopefully I've gotten to most questions, but I'm just making sure I can get back to some of the previous ones that all came in at once. All right. Thanks. Seeing one from Mike. Would engagement inform design, or are the goals and purpose of engagement more about raising awareness? Thanks, Mike. So again, this will be specific to our neighborhood partners' goals here, but in general, I think we do really see the community engagement work as being integral to determining what exactly the visions for the spaces, both in the short term and the long term, are. So that will really determine both the shorter term activations as demonstrations of what's possible in the longer term as well. And that really is part of our model here, is that even though the outcome of these projects will be temporary public space activations, that they will be important demonstrations and important advocacy tools for our neighborhood partners to think about what they are interested in on the longer term in these spaces. So it's a really, really important role for you all to play in supporting that work. Right. Give me one sec to look through here. All right, Andrew Myers, thanks for your question. If our program includes college-age students doing work in urbanism, may we include them as part of an interdisciplinary collaborator submission? I think that is totally fine, especially our neighborhood partners will really have a say over who they're interested in working with from the interdisciplinary collaborator submission. So welcome to put your hat in the ring, and folks may see a good fit and find a way to go get folks involved. It's a great question, Julie. So Julie's asking, are there others on the team besides the design team, neighborhood partners, and interdisciplinary collaborators, such as from the Urban Design Forum, for example? So great question. So Urban Design Forum, we really see ourselves as facilitators and connectors as part of this work. That'll mean that I'll be sitting in on many of your team meetings to support you in connecting with folks who may support this effort. I wouldn't say I'm an active team member, but I'm a team supporter. I will say too that our neighborhood partners often have pretty diverse webs of community collaborators that they'll be working with on these projects, and that depending on the project, there may be adjacent other community-based organizations that will be supporting or will be involved in the projects. So depending on the project, you'll likely interface with many other community-based folks and neighborhood leaders besides just the core community partner. So that's a good thing to keep an eye out for as well. And our collaborators at the Association for Neighborhood and Housing Development will also be supporting around the edges. All right, a couple more questions coming through. All right, thanks, Madeline. So the question is, how does the role of the interdisciplinary collaborators differ from the design teams? Are you looking to fill a specific gap in their involvement? So this does depend on the project, and I'd encourage you to look at the full project descriptions in the RFQ PDF, because for each team, we've defined a few specific areas, for example, historian, oral history researcher, archivists, things like that, where our partners have developed, identified a particular interest area of folks that they may not have contacts with, but they'd be apologies there. So there really are some key gaps for each neighborhood team that are roles that are pretty distinct from a design team. And the design team in particular will really be supporting on the key spatial elements of these projects, but for some in particular, there may be some historical elements, some kind of archival or research elements that may not be understandably in the skill set of just a design team. So we're looking to bring folks in to help support with that as well. All right, hopefully that was helpful, Madeline. All right, a couple more coming in. Thanks, June. If our design team includes collaborators within our firm, do they also need to be located in New York? Yeah, so I would say, June, for all of the folks who are actively involved in the project, they should be able to attend in-person workshops and on-site meetings. If, for example, maybe you just need a little bit of help on, cost estimating for one part of the project, and it's someone in your firm who's across the country, I think that's a different case. But I would say that the key people who are involved in these projects should be based in New York. All right, I'm seeing a couple questions as well. Folks are asking if a list of participants on the Zoom might be included in the FAQ. Thanks so much for that question. I think we'd love to take that back to our team, and we'll happily share an answer to that in the FAQ as well. Thanks. So Shushti is seeing, how does an interdisciplinary collaborator get identified by a project team to expand? Will the project team request for a lighting expert or a historian? Yeah, so thanks for that, Shushti. So our first step here really is to be identifying and pairing our neighborhood partners with our design teams. And that's who is really going to launch in June. And as I mentioned, the design teams will really have a key role in supporting our neighborhood partners in more deeply scoping this work and the needs for that work. So you as design teams may actually have a role in helping to determine how best to reach out to folks like a lighting expert or a historian, and that the folks who are submitting through the call for interdisciplinary collaborators will be a roster that our neighborhood partners will be able to look to and pull from. So there is a chance that if you're submitting there, that you may be contacted slightly later in the year once projects have been identified in a little more detail. All right, awesome. So I was asking, can you expand a little more on the schedule? How frequent would the touch points with the partners be over 18 months? Yeah, so great question. So I think, again, I feel like I've been saying this a lot, but this will depend on project team. But in general, we have seen with projects like these really valuable and effective for folks to create at least a bi-weekly cadence to be checking in and moving projects forward. And then depending on your partner's goals, there may really be some phases. So maybe in the summer you're doing community engagement and you have some goals around public space activation, which means maybe you're working a little bit more intensively, or you're attending site visits on a weekly basis or bi-weekly. Maybe you're in more of a planning and design phase in the winter stages. In general, we are estimating that the time commitment for this will be between 5 and 8 hours a week, recognizing that this does really, again, vary based on the season and the phase of the project. But if hopefully that's helpful, that will be kind of what you might expect on an average. All right, Julie is asking, how will decision-making happen throughout the project process? That's a great question. So really our ethos with this work is to have our neighborhood partners as folks that really know their neighborhoods best, really lead in the vision for these projects. So we definitely see them as our kind of like key resource and key decision maker with these projects. That being said, I think we're really happy on the UDF and ANHD side to support in team mediation and understanding conversations between teams. But then in general, we see this as a collaborative effort, but that as an effort that really is led by our neighborhood partners and their visions for their spaces. All right, seeing a few other questions come in. I see. So Basar, I do want to clarify. So I'm seeing your question, is the $50K honorarium intended to cover the full design team's time for the entirety of the project, including implementation, programming phase, and post-project communication and publication? So just to clarify here, each neighborhood partner will receive a grant that they can disperse for $50,000 for implementation and activation and programming. Then there is a separate honorarium, which is $40,000 to cover the design team's time, and then $35,000 to support a neighborhood partner's staffing costs. So really 3 distinct buckets here. And hopefully Dan answered that in the chat as well. So hopefully that's helpful. All right, let's see. Thanks folks for continuing to be engaged here. I know lots of questions coming through and appreciate all the detail here. Taking a look at a few more. One moment. All right, I do want to share one other thing that I've actually heard as a question in advance of today to make sure that folks know. So the question was really how, if at all, will neighborhood partners and design teams interact with city agencies through this project? And my answer here really is that Urban Design Forum and ANHD have strong relationships with many of the agencies that are involved in the temporary permitting of these types of projects, the Department of Transportation, the Department of Parks and Recreation, things like that. And we'll do our best to support in navigating these agencies. We also plan to bring on wraparound legal support to assist each team in navigating permitting and regulations for their sites. So by wraparound, I mean that they will be supporting across these 5 teams. And that we also welcome firm support in navigating this as well, if you all have experience or relationships that you'd like to bring to bear in this work as well. All right, I'm seeing an offer of teaming in the chat, so that's nice to see, folks. Definitely welcome folks to connect with each other if they're interested. All right, and I do want to say too that if we're not able to get to any of these particular questions today, we'll be publishing FAQ by the end of this week with more detailed answers to all these questions. I know a few we'll be bringing back to our team just to make sure we can get you the most precise answer. So thanks for all your patience there. I'm seeing Alden's question about insurance requirements. I think that's another one I'll want to just bring back to our team just to make sure we're all on board there. Right. All right, give me one more moment just to get through some of our last few here. Appreciating folks. All right, well, as we are just going through, I'm seeing Julie's question, is the honoraria dispersed at the end or throughout the process? So we're really, these budgets are really going to be managed by our neighborhood partners, but we'll be working with our neighborhood partners to disperse honoraria at key milestones throughout the project. So we'll have more details with that once we selected teams. Awesome. Well, I'm seeing the questions slowing, so hopefully this has been helpful for folks. And again, we'll be publishing an FAQ shortly with more detailed explanations to some of these questions. I do want to say thank you so much for joining, knowing that there are over 100 folks that are really engaged and invested in this work. Feels really exciting for us. I think we know how important it is to be engaging in design practice in this way and to be working with folks that really know their neighborhoods well. So feel really grateful to all of you for your investment of time this afternoon, and hopefully we'll look forward to seeing your submissions to the RFQ in May. So let us know if you have any other questions. We are excited to support you all in submitting to this. So feel free to reach out to me if you have any additional questions, and we will close for today. But thank you so much, everyone. All right, take care.